Data sufficiency questions are the most common question type that you will encounter on the GMAT's Data Insights section. Two micro errors that often lead to mistakes on this question type are tracking information poorly or selecting the wrong answer option. In 7 minutes, I will demonstrate some of my learnings from practicing this question type in addition to several other important factors which you need to take into account as you prepare for the GMAT. This is day 21 of my GMAT prep. On day 20, I was practicing some multi-source reasoning and data sufficiency questions from the Data Insights section of the GMAT. Today, I plan to do more of the same, even though that is slightly inconsistent with my study plan. I originally thought that I would be able to exhaust all of the multi-source reasoning questions within 2 days, but based on the couple days of practice I've already put in, I think I need 2 more days to get there. Yes, this is leading to a slight delay in my study plan, but I think I will be able to catch up on things by putting in some extra time here and there. We will see how that goes. So, coming to the plan for today, I will start by glancing at my notes from my practice session yesterday. My intention is to just remind myself of some of the micro improvements that I'm trying to make so that I can put them into practice while I'm on the practice set today. After that, I will get into performance analysis of the practice set that I attempt today. As part of that, I will also do performance analysis on the data sufficiency questions that you might remember I tried yesterday and which I wasn't able to look through in detail just because I ran out of time. Just so you are able to track me easily, I will be attempting question numbers 230, 234, 238 and so on up to question number 330 from the GMAT official guide version 2023-24. All of these question numbers correspond to the data sufficiency question type. Once I'm done with that, I will go to the online question bank. So let's get into it. Alright, I am about 1 hour 45 minutes in at this point. I have several things to talk through, including an error I made on day 20 of my prep. First, let's talk about today. The practice set I was working through took me a total of 72 minutes. I answered 26 data sufficiency questions in that time frame, of which I answered 24 questions correctly and 4 incorrectly. The 4 questions I answered incorrectly were 290, 310, 314 and 326. Once again, all of these numbers correspond to question numbers from the data sufficiency section of the GMAT official guide version 2023-24. Let's talk quickly about the questions I answered incorrectly. First, let's talk about question number 290. So this is a question that I reattempted and I could not get it right both times. You can see my first attempt on this page here. On the second attempt, I tried to be a little more persistent with writing things down and I still couldn't get it right. For what it's worth, I arrived at the same answer in both cases, but that answer seems to be wrong according to the official guide. So I will just leave this problem be for now and I will reattempt it at a future point. Similarly, I plan to reattempt question number 326 another day. This is because I simply haven't been able to think of a clean approach to attack this problem. As you can see in my notes here, the first time I attempted this problem, my notes got pretty messy and it hit a point where I basically gave up on the question. So just like with question 290, I will put this question into the freezer and I will return to it in the future at some point. Then talking of question number 310. So this is a question that I was able to get right on the second attempt. When I look back at my notes from my first attempt, I realized that I had made an error in noting down information from the question into my notebook. So this is clearly an information transfer error. It's not that I read the problem incorrectly, it's just that I did not transfer that information correctly into my notes. On the other hand, when I was reattempting this problem, as you can see on this page here, I transferred the information correctly, but even as I was trying to solve the question after doing that, I had some trouble processing the information that I had put down on the page. My diagnosis of it is that it is purely because there are several variables involved in this question, and the only way I can get around this issue is by making my notes very, very clear and organized. So going forward, I will try to pay more attention when reading questions and try to avoid misread errors or even information transfer errors. And similarly, I will try to write my notes in a way that enables me to separate entities a little more cleanly. Then coming to question number 314. So this one was just me being a little stupid. I answered this question right, but then I made an error when eliminating answer options. And as a result, I ended up choosing the wrong answer option against this question. Once again, unfortunately, that is a mistake that can also happen on your final GMAT exam. So I'm glad that I made this mistake again here, and I will try and ensure that my process of selecting answer options when solving data sufficiency questions is a little more reliable and consistent going forward. There is also one minor point that comes to mind as I think about question number 310 that I was talking about earlier. I don't know if you have seen this in my recent videos, but the notebook that I've been using has changed. Just for comparison, let me bring my old notebook also onto the screen. As you can see, this is my old notebook and this is my new one. The big difference between the two is that the lines on the pages of the new notebook are significantly darker. I have been finding that to be very distracting as I write my notes down and then try to process it. I'm hoping that your experience when watching my notes in the new notebook isn't too horrible. If it is, I can only issue a sincere apology at this point. But having said that, I will still continue to use this new notebook for my practice sessions going forward. The reason for that is that when you go to take the final GMAT exam, you won't really have any control on the scratch pad that is given to you. As I was just describing, I think that the differences in the nature of the pages between the two notebooks actually has a meaningful effect on my ability to solve problems consistently and with the appropriate speed. So it doesn't hurt to get used to different types of distractions. So by the day of the final exam, you have learned to ignore such distractions and focus on the problems you need to solve. As far as I recall from my last GMAT, the scratch pad that was given out at the test center consisted of yellow pages which were also graph ruled like the one you're seeing here. I don't recall the specific darkness of the lines though, and just in case the lines are going to be as dark as they are in my new notebook, I want to be mentally prepared to be able to deal with that on the day of the final exam. Outside of that, there is another major issue that I wanted to call out. As I was hinting earlier, I realized that I made a major error on day 20 when I was planning my study sessions for the data insight section. This error also creeped into my day 20 video. So if you have watched that video, caught the error and are a little confused, I also apologize for that. I try to share the most accurate information I can, but going through GMAT prep while also planning, producing and shooting YouTube videos is overwhelming on most days. Let me quickly talk about the error I'm referring to. So if I go back to my notes from day 20 of my GMAT prep, you can see that I started by calculating the total number of data sufficiency questions that were available in the physical version of the GMAT official guide. In doing those calculations, I used two numbers, 332 and 238. These numbers correspond to the last question numbers in the data sufficiency section and the quant section of the GMAT official guide respectively. The subtraction here gave me a total of 94 questions. However, I realized that I'd made an error in just noting down the number 238. That number should actually be 228 as you're seeing in the corrected calculations below. So really the GMAT official guide has 104 data sufficiency questions. If you do the rest of the math the same way, you realize that you can create about 5 practice sets for the data sufficiency question type using these 104 questions. Because of the error I made on day 20, I chose to design my data sufficiency practice sets by solving every 4th question from the official guide. And that is why each data sufficiency practice set that I solve will contain 26 questions instead of about 20 questions that I had originally intended. However, my friend, be smart, not stupid. Learn from my mistake. The whole purpose of this channel is to enable humanity to live a smarter life. And you won't know what smartness is if you don't give yourselves the space to occasionally be stupid. That is very deep, I know. All of this said, you can use the corrected math that I'm showing on the screen to create 5 practice sets for the data sufficiency question type using the GMAT official guide. I hope that makes your prep smoother than mine. In my case, because I already made this error and used the numbers from the top part of the screen for 2 practice sets already, I will just keep going. This means that all of my data sufficiency practice sets from the guide will contain 26 questions. That is 6 questions more than is needed, but I don't think it is all bad news necessarily. Given the format of the GMAT Focus Edition, at some point of time, you are going to have to get used to solving GMAT questions for 90 minutes straight. This is because the test only allows for one 10-minute break among the 3 sections. So in this case, I will assume that creating problem sets with 26 questions will just help me build the physical and mental resilience that I will also need on the day of the GMAT exam. Unfortunately, because of the same error, I'm now realizing that I'm now short on time for my study session today because I ended up spending 72 minutes instead of the intended 45 minutes on going through one data sufficiency practice set. That gives me no choice but to cut short my study session for today. I will come back to this tomorrow and start with 2 sets of things. First, I will go through the next practice set of multi-source reasoning questions, which I was unable to get to today. Then I will conduct a performance analysis of that practice set as well as the data sufficiency practice sets that I went through today and yesterday. So that is all for today. Don't beat yourself too much if you end up making planning errors like this in your GMAT preparation. If anything, it is good that the error happened before the exam because it gives you time to course correct and make improvements as needed. Remember to hit like, subscribe and bell before you go if you found this video helpful. You can also click on the Ask Me Anything link in the video description if you have any questions. That is all for now. I will see you in the next video.